What is going on, everybody? Tyler Brandt back here with another video. Today we are talking a little bit about Cam Newton and the video that he released today on his YouTube channel. It was an interesting video. I didn't watch much of it myself, but I did kind of get the cliff notes of what he said, and some of it was interesting. A lot of it wasn't really too surprising or too nefarious or too harsh against New England. It seemed pretty fair. It was a pretty interesting video. So essentially, he's back at Westlake High School in Atlanta, and he's just talking to his father about his time with New England and some of the stuff. I know he was talking about how he was supposed to identify the Mike linebacker, and quarterbacks don't normally do that, little things like that. But what we're really going to focus on today is some of the stuff he said about getting cut and then the QB job. He talks a little bit about Mac Jones. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Let's talk Cam Newton and the video he released today on YouTube. Now, according to this video, he said that when he was called in and he found out that he got cut, he was in a room with Bill Belichick and Matt Patricia, and he was, quote-unquote, absolutely surprised by his release. And he said that everybody in the room, including Matt Patricia and Bill Belichick and himself, they were all shocked, and it was a very uncomfortable feeling in the room, which I guess I could understand. I mean, that seems pretty straightforward. But as the video goes on, it kind of seemed like he felt like he was losing at least a grip on the starter job. So I'm not sure if he had any idea whether he was getting cut or whether he knew what was going to happen. It doesn't seem like he at any point expected to get cut. So I thought that part was a little bit interesting for sure. To follow up the comment about being in the room with Bill Belichick and Matt Patricia, apparently he was willing to, and he would have stayed on to be the backup quarterback to Mac Jones. He said he would have been happy to kind of navigate him through his first NFL season. But he thought that, and he really elaborates on this, he thought that he would have been a distraction, and he thought that the team would have felt he was a distraction to Mac Jones, and there he kind of elaborates about his aura and how he's a blessing and a curse to a team because of his personality and how he acts and just who he is. So he goes into a little bit about that, but he does say that he is willing to, or he was willing to stay in New England as a backup and help Mac Jones. But I think kind of he thinks that he would have been a distraction to Mac with having Mac Jones looking over his shoulder, you know, kind of as the next man up, ready to take that spot. So that's kind of the vibe he gets and the vibe he gives off when he's talking about that too. The next thing that I thought stuck out to me a little bit was the reps. So apparently he was getting, during practice, he was getting, at least from what he says, like 2 first-team reps for every 10 reps that Mac Jones had, but he was starting the preseason games. So apparently there may have been optics to that for the media, seeing who came out first and who started the games, but it seemed like Mac was getting a bulk of the work in the preseason and at least in preseason practices and training camps. And then beyond that, he also spoke a little bit about his 5-day absence, and he said that he doesn't think it played any part in him getting released, as well as him saying his status against vaccinations. He doesn't think that that had anything to do with him getting released either, which is interesting, kind of contradicts a video that I put up earlier this week, saying that I think it would be naive not to think about that at least a little bit, but he thinks that had nothing to do with him getting cut either. And finally, the last thing that I really read about and kind of hit on as I was going through was he did comment on Mac Jones' talent, and he does say that he is, quote-unquote, good enough to win games and win games for the New England Patriots, which I think is kind of the consensus that we all have seeing him through the preseason. Is it looks like this kid is good enough to play quarterback in the NFL. So I think this video kind of puts a bow on the Cam Newton chapter of the New England Patriots story. He was good. He was asked to do a lot in the role of filling the shoes of Tom Brady, the shoes that he left. He was good. He was a quarterback in a frustrating time with COVID. And I think at the end of the day, and Julian Edelman said it best too, when the Patriots take the 15th pick and use it on a quarterback, there's kind of a timetable on it. He's got to get in and he's got to start, and you got to see what he has. I'd rather go 7-10 and find out if Mac Jones is the guy or not than, you know, maybe win 1 or 2 more games with Cam and just be stuck in the same loop. This is kind of how the NFL works. Nothing he said in the video was very surprising to me. I thought he could have really ripped New England. He must have had a good time and a good experience overall. You know, I know he is very outspoken and on a channel that is mostly his own on YouTube. He really could have said whatever he wanted, but he was very classy. He was very respectful with how he treated New England and all his parting words for New England and giving the fans the service they wanted by kind of telling his side of the story. I don't know what the next step is for him. I think the Giants had him in for a visit. Dallas would be an interesting prospect for him. He said also in the video that he does not believe he is one of the worst 32 QBs in the league. He's better than some of the 32 that are playing right now. So it will be very interesting to see what the next step is for Cam Newton. But I think that'll put a bow on his, again, tenure, the Cam Newton story. And it's officially time to turn the page. It is the Mac Jones chapter. We head into the weekend on the channel with the division standings and the division projections tomorrow. And, of course, a preview of the Patriots and the Dolphins on Sunday. Should be a great game. Game 1 for Mac Jones, and we'll just see how good this Patriot team is. But a quick video today, nothing too crazy. Just wanted to go over that Cam Newton video a little bit. What do you think of the video? What do you think he had to say? If you watch more of the video, let me know in the comments down below. Once again, I'm Tyler Brandt. Give me a follow on Twitter at TheTylerBrandt, on Instagram at TalkingPats. I'll talk to you tomorrow.